Unequal pay. Is the Raise the Wage Act equal for disabled adults? Is it equal for special education students? The Individuals with Disabilities Education Act, passed by the United States Congress in 1975, is intended, quote, to ensure that all children with disabilities have available to them a free, appropriate public education that emphasizes special education-related services designed to meet their unique needs and prepare them for further education, employment, and independent living. Title 20 of the United States Code, Chapter 33. Special education from the student point of view. I was in special education in elementary school and middle school, experienced the consequences of it in high school and beyond. I'm David Potter. I survived special education, not a joke. Unequal pay. Is the Raise the Wage Act equal for disabled adults? Let's look at the Raise the Wage Act of 2021. S-53 was introduced January 26, 2021 by Senator Bernard Sanders, Independent, Vermont. It was read twice and referred to the Committee on Health, Education, Labor, and Pensions. H.R. 603 was introduced January 28, 2021 by Representative Robert C. Bobby Scott, Democrat, Virginia's 3rd District. It was referred to the House Committee on Education and Labor. This is S-53. What does the bill say? A bill to provide for increases in the federal minimum wage and for other purposes. Section 1, short title. This act may be cited as the Raise the Wage Act of 2021. Section 2, minimum wage increases. Lowercase a. In general. Section 6, lowercase a1 of the Fair Labor Standards Act of 1938, 29 U.S.C. 206, lowercase a1, is amended to read as follows. 1. Except as otherwise provided in this section, not less than a. $9.50 an hour, beginning on the effective date under Section 7 of the Raise the Wage Act of 2021. B. $11 an hour, beginning 1 year after such effective date. C. $12.50 an hour, beginning 2 years after such effective date. D. $14 an hour, beginning 3 years after such effective date. E. $15 an hour, beginning 4 years after such effective date. And F. Beginning on the date that is 5 years after such effective date, and annually thereafter, the amount determined by the Secretary under subsection lowercase h. B. Determination based on increase in the median hourly wage of all employees. Section 6 of the Fair Labor Standards Act of 1938, 29 U.S.C. 206 is amended by adding at the end the following. Lowercase h. 1. Not later than each date that is 90 days before a new minimum wage determined under subsection lowercase a1f is to take effect, the Secretary shall determine the minimum wage to be in effect under the subsection for each period described in subsection a1f. The wage determined under the subsection for a year shall be a. Not less than the amount in effect under subsection lowercase a1 on the date of such determination. B. Increase from such an amount by the annual percentage increase, if any, in the median hourly wage of all employees as is determined by the Bureau of Labor Statistics. And C. Rounded up to the nearest multiple of 5 cents. 2. In calculating the annual percentage increase in the median hourly wage of all employees for purposes of paragraph 1b, the Secretary, through the Bureau of Labor Statistics, shall compile data on the hourly wages of all employees to determine such a median hourly wage and compare such median hourly wage for the most recent year for which data are available with the median hourly wage determined for the preceding year. Skipping sections 2 to 5. Section 6. Promoting economic self-sufficiency for individuals with disabilities. Lowercase a. Wages. 1. Transition to fair wages for individuals with disabilities. Subparagraph A of Section 14, lowercase c1 of the Fair Labor Standards Act of 1938, 29 U.S.C. 214, lowercase c1 is amended to read as follows. 8. At a rate that equals or exceeds for each year the greater of, lowercase Roman numeral 1, Roman numeral 1, $5 an hour, beginning on the effective date under Section 7 of the Raise the Wage Act of 2021. What needs to change in the bill? This applies only to employers who receive a special certificate to pay special minimum wage to disabled employees. This bill uses these terms under 6 lowercase a2 of this bill, as does the law it amends. At effective date, $9.50 for the non-disabled, $5 for the disabled, difference of $4.50. What does the bill say? Roman numeral 2, $7.50 an hour, beginning 1 year after such effective date. What needs to change in this bill? 1 year later, $11 for the non-disabled, $7.50 for the disabled, difference of $3.50. What does the bill say? Roman numeral 3, $10 an hour, beginning 2 years after such effective date. What needs to change in this bill? 2 years later, $12.50 for the non-disabled, $10 for the disabled, difference of $2.50. What does the bill say? Roman numeral 4, $12.50 an hour, beginning 3 years after such effective date. What needs to change in this bill? 3 years later, $14 for the non-disabled, $12.50 for the disabled, difference of $1.50. At this point, the disabled are a year behind the non-disabled. It should be the same amount for both, or even make it $13 for both groups. What does the bill say? Roman numeral 5, $15 an hour, beginning 4 years after such effective date, and what needs to change in this bill? 4 years later, $15 for the disabled and non-disabled. 4 years to equality, if this becomes law. What does the bill say? Roman numeral 6, the wage rate in effect under Section 6, lowercase a1, beginning 5 years after such effective date, or what needs to change in this bill? 6, lowercase a1 defines the annual percentage increase as not less than a past rate based on the median hourly wage for all employees rounded to the nearest multiple of 5 cents based on data compiled by the Bureau of Labor Statistics. 5 years later, annual increases based on median hourly wage for non-disabled and disabled, same standard. Finally, why draw out the suffering for the disabled by keeping this unequal pay unequal for 3 additional unnecessary years? What does the bill say? Lowercase Roman numeral 2, if applicable, the wage rate in effect on the day before the date of enactment of the Raise the Wage Act of 2021 for the employment under special certificate issued under this paragraph of the individual for whom the wage rate is determined under this subparagraph. 2. Prohibition on new special certificates. Sunset. Section 14, lowercase c, of the Fair Labor Standards Act of 1938, 29 U.S.C. 214, lowercase c, as amended by paragraph 1, is further amended by adding at the end the following. Prohibition on new special certificates. Notwithstanding paragraph 1, the Secretary shall not issue a special certificate under the subsection to an employer that was not issued a special certificate under this subsection before the date of the enactment of the Raise the Wage Act of 2021. 7. Beginning on the day after the date on which the wage rate described in paragraph 1a, lowercase Roman numeral 1, Roman numeral 6, takes effect, the authority to issue special certificates under paragraph 1 shall expire, and no special certificates issued under this paragraph shall have any legal effect. What needs to change in this bill? Sunset special certificates in 1a, lowercase Roman numeral 1, Roman numeral 5, a year earlier. 8. Transition assistance. Upon request, the Secretary shall provide a. Technical assistance and information to employers issued a special certificate under the subsection for the purposes of lowercase Roman numeral 1, assisting such employers to comply with the subsection as amended by the Raise the Wage Act of 2021 and lowercase Roman numeral 2, ensuring continuing employment opportunities for individuals with disabilities receiving a special minimum wage rate under this subsection, and what needs to change in this bill? Special minimum wage is used here. So, one minimum wage for the non-disabled and one minimum wage, which until this bill is actually implemented, is lower for the disabled, but for the first 3 years. The law this bill amends violates the Equal Protection Clause in the United States Constitution as applied to the disabled. Also, employers must not count on the special certificate to hire disabled employees. They must provide equal opportunity, including in wages, as non-disabled people. Firing special minimum wage employees after the sunset of the special certificate must have criminal penalties to make non-compliance costs way more than equal pay for the disabled, treating the difference in pay as wage theft. What does the bill say? B. Information to individuals employed at a special minimum wage rate under this subsection, which may include referrals to federal or state entities with expertise in competitive integrated employment. What needs to change in this bill? Are they doing this now? If not, what is called competitive integrated employment must be the gold standard. Of course, for special education students, least restrictive environment is defined as being in a class with non-disabled peers, and they are often excluded from that because of disability. This should be the adult version of that concept. The referrals to government entities may not be appropriate for all in this situation, as determined by the disabled person, not a caseworker. What does the bill say? 3. Effective date. Amendments made by this subsection shall take effect on the date of enactment of this act. Lowercase b. Publication of notice. 1. Amendment. Subsection lowercase Roman numeral 1 of Section 6 of the Fair Labor Standards Act of 1938, 29 U.S.C. 206, as amended by Section 4 lowercase b2, is further amended by striking or Section 14 lowercase c 1a. What needs to change in this bill? This must be the part of the change to make it work. What does the bill say? 2. Effective date. The amendment made by paragraph 1 shall take effect on the day after the date on which the wage rate described in paragraph 1a, lowercase Roman numeral 1, Roman numeral 6 of Section 14, lowercase c of the Fair Labor Standards Act of 1938, 29 U.S.C. 214, lowercase c, is amended by subsection lowercase a1 takes effect. Section 7. General effective date. Except as otherwise provided in this Act, or the amendments made by this Act, and the amendments made by this Act shall take effect on the first day of the third month that begins after the date of enactment of this Act. What needs to change in this bill? This bill is long overdue for the disabled. Republicans should support this. I understand the reasons for not increasing the minimum wage, but since 1938, 2 minimum wages exist, one for the disabled and one for the non-disabled. Republicans should help fix this and make the system work based on actual median wage data instead of arbitrary numbers which may not reflect reality. The end game of this change is something Republicans should support, as long as it does not change once the increase is based on median wage data is implemented. It may not be possible to eliminate the minimum wage. How does this bill impact my life? Because I never had a sub-minimum wage job or even a minimum wage job, this doesn't apply to me. The existence of unequal pay for the disabled is the problem. Is it equal for special education students? Is the Individuals with Disabilities Education Act working as intended? Is it preparing disabled students for further education, employment, and independent living? Visit the website at notajoke.net. I'm David Powder. I survived special education, not a joke.